Listening to the Python Podcast with James, Nick, Gigi, Josh, Sam, and Tom. Ring the bell.
Hey guys, it's Sam Pele here, and I am bringing you episode 1 of the Pipe Bomb Podcast Season 2 of Fantasy Bookings. It's called The Return. So in this series, we are basically going to give you a storyline of how we will bring back a former female superstar, not diva, former female superstar, and how we would integrate them into the current roster. We're going to have, I think there's maybe 5 in the series that we're doing. I'm bringing you the first one, and I'm telling you how I would bring back Maxine. I thought I'd go for someone a little bit different, not really a bigger name, your likes of your Beth Phoenixes, your Kelly Kellys, your Eve Torreses. I thought I'd kind of go a bit down low. Pick someone who I can have a lot of fun with, who has had a great career outside of WWE. So yeah, I've gone for Maxine. I'm also doing a call-up, as you can see from the picture, from the display here that the lovely James has made for us. It's Hugo Knox. So I'm going to bring up Hugo Knox from NXT for a call-up, as well as bringing back Maxine. So yeah, this is how I'd start it. So we've got the draft coming up. Bearing in mind, everything from the draft, every superstar that I mention is on SmackDown. It becomes a SmackDown exclusive storyline based on who I have involved. So we start off at Battleground. We have Fandango and Tyler Breeze taking on the newly brought up American Alpha on the pre-show to determine the number 1 contender for the Tag Team Championships. During the match, the arena enters like a darkness, and a spotlight beams down from the top of the ramp, from the bottom of the ramp, and slowly trails up to the top when we see a woman stood at the top. She's dressed in like a tight-fitted black dress with a large black hat with a veil attached to the rim. Think like a big sun hat, but with a lacy kind of veil coming down, a dark one, and you can't see her face. It drowns her face. You get the sound of her sobbing echoes around the arena as she raises her left arm and reveals a black handkerchief. She slowly opens it with her right hand and brings it towards her face. She slowly raises the veil, revealing lipsticked lips, very dark lipstick lips. And she blows on the handkerchief and a red glittery mist trickles out. Suddenly, the spotlight goes off and she disappears. But in the ring, we've got Tyler Breeze lay in the centre of the mat, covered in red glitter. Fandango stood on the outside looking all confused as Jason Jordan takes the win, making American Alpha the new number 1 contenders. We then go on to SmackDown, week 1 of SmackDown, okay? Fandango is stood backstage with Renee Young. She looks concerned at him and begins her interview. So last night on the Battleground pre-show, you and Tyler Breeze were defeated by American Alpha and lost the chance to challenge for the Tag Team Championships. You guys look poised to win when all of a sudden this woman in a veil shows up with her magic red dust, knocking out Breeze, costing you the match. What are your thoughts right now? Fandango then looks at Renee Young. He looks her up and down and he says, Renee, I can't do Fandango's voice, but he talks like this. He says, I have no idea what happened last night, Renee, and I also have no idea who that woman was. All I know is ultimately my partner Tyler Breeze is now out with an unknown head injury for an unknown amount of time. However, our SmackDown GM has granted me a rematch next week with a partner of my choice. If I mentioned the SmackDown GM a couple of times during this, because we don't actually know who the new GMs are going to be yet, I've just referred to them as the SmackDown GM, whether it be a woman or a man. It could be anyone. So whenever I say the SmackDown GM, just, go in with a clean slate. Okay? SmackDown week 2. So American Alpha make their entrance, with a huge pop from the crowd. Fandango's out next, and then stands at the bottom of the ramp awaiting his partner. The lights go out, and when the music hits, quiet on set, please, quiet on set. His partner, accompanied by his wife Maurice, is none other than the Intercontinental Champion, The Miz. Awesome! During the match, Fandango and The Miz are dominating. Fandango hits Chad Gable with an incredible tornado DDT from the corner and then tags in The Miz. As The Miz enters the ring, the lights go out again, and the exact same thing that happened at the Battleground pre-show happens again. The veiled woman is at the top of the ramp crying and unleashes her magical handkerchief. When the lights come back on, The Miz is knocked out cold and again covered in red glitter. Chad Gable runs in and takes the pin for the victory, securing them the number one contendership. So after the match, Maurice is seen backstage pacing down the hallways. Renee runs up to her. She asks Maurice how The Miz is doing. She angrily states that he's out with a strange injury and that the woman responsible will pay when she finds her. Maurice turns around and walks straight in to the veiled woman in the corner. She turns her around and the veil is still covering her face. She starts screaming angrily in French at her. If I could do French, I would say what she said, but I don't know any French. So it's probably like, ha ha ha, because that's what French people do. So the woman then raises her arm and blows the glitter in Maurice's face, and Maurice just passes out straight away. She then calls over Renee with her finger. She's bringing her towards her, come here, my child. Renee puts the mic towards her and she says, Fandango should never have crossed me. He will pay for embarrassing me. SmackDown Week 3. So Fandango is seen running around when he hunts down Eva Marie. He then goes up to her and goes, Eva, is it you? Is this because I told you couldn't dance all those years ago? Eva Marie looks at him and says, listen here, Fandango. Why would I, the Red Queen, waste my time on you when I have my eyes set on the Women's Championship? Fandango just looks at her, laughs, and walks away, when all of a sudden he has a brainwave. Later that night, in the ring, we've got Summer Rae versus Alicia Fox. As the match is underway, we hear the shouts of, Summer! Summer, baby, I'm sorry! Fandango then comes out at the top, with a microphone in his hand and pleads for her to stop doing what she's doing. Summer stands at the ropes looking all confused as she's screaming to him, what are you talking about? I don't know what you mean. Alicia Fox then quickly rolls her up for the victory. Alicia rolls out the ring and then Fandango comes running down as Alicia crosses him. Fandango gets in the ring and he says, Summer, please stop. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I didn't want to date you. I'm sorry that you can't dance. I'm sorry that... And then the lights go out once again. The veiled woman appears at the top and blows the magical red glitter. The lights come back on and Summer Rae is knocked out in the centre of the ring, covered in glitter, as Fandango once again looks on confused. SmackDown Week 4. So the cameras are running through the hallways and we see Fandango holding Rosa Mendez up against the wall. He starts screaming, you left me, I didn't leave you. Why are you doing this to me? Rosa is screaming before security comes over, detaining Fandango. Rosa gets up in his face and she says, I'm just a reporter now. I'm a new mother to Jordan Elizabeth. Do not come near me. Everyone that gets close to you gets hurt. And I'm a mother now. Stay away. Probably in her little voice that she does, you know how she gets. So later that night, Fandango is scheduled to go one-on-one with Xavier Woods. Woods refuses to get in the ring and have this match, screaming that, I don't want to die because of him! Because everyone around him seems to be getting hit with the glitter, so it's not a good idea. Fandango then grabs a mic and looks straight into the camera. He goes, listen here, whoever you are. You can't go around ruining my life for no reason. Either reveal yourself now or at SummerSlam. I will hunt you down myself. The lights then go out, and the woman is stood at the top of the ramp. She has a microphone in her hand and slowly brings it up to her face. Well, to her mouth part, because you can't see her face. Just see, her mouth. She pulls up. She goes, oh, Fandango, how foolish. You've brainwashed yourself and the WWE Universe. Just by changing your name and dancing to please these puppets of society does not change your past, Johnny. You slimy, vindictive snake. You will pay for hurting me. Pay with your life. See you Sunday, Johnny. Watch your back. The lights go off and she vanishes and Fandango stood in the ring, really confused. Then we have SummerSlam. So the biggest party of the summer is upon us. The first annual cross-brand Summer Battle Royale is underway, which is basically I'd have 20 superstars from both brands, just sort of, having a Battle Royale. Winner gets a beach ball trophy or something, I don't know. So we have the match, and the final four then goes down to Dolph Ziggler, Zack Ryder, Sheamus, and Fandango. As for Dolph, Zack, and Sheamus, they could be on either SmackDown or Raw. There is no specification. I don't think they get mentioned later on anyway. So the 3 superstars left are wary of going for Fandango in fear of ending up in the red, as the commentators keep calling it, in the red. Fandango is stood in the centre of the ring, edging to the other 3, trying to get them to fight him, when all of a sudden, a large, muscular gent runs into the ring and beats down Fandango. The attacker is none other than NXT superstar Hugo Knox. Hugo Knox then throws Fandango over the top rope, thus eliminating him, and then exits the ring himself. He puts Fandango over his shoulders and walks up the ramp without any hesitation at all. SmackDown Week 5. So the show opens up in darkness. A chair in the centre of the ring with a blindfolded and handcuffed Fandango sits in the middle of the ring. Hugo Knox stands to the right of the chair in a very smart casual suit like you can see in the picture. His hands are in front of him, just sort of very relaxed, casual. The veiled woman stands to the left with a microphone in her hand. A spotlight highlights the ring and the woman raises the mic to her veil and begins to speak. Pig, chauvinist, cheat. All words that can be used to describe this parasite before you. This man betrayed me. Back in 2010 when I first met this man, he stole my heart. He promised me the world, he promised me marriage, but then he lied to me. I was one of the many women he lied to. I guarantee I was probably not the first. He made me walk away from everything that I loved because of his attitude towards me and women. Unlike this man, I do not need to lie behind a fake name. You may know him as Fandango, but I first knew him as Johnny Curtis. She begins then to unzip her dress and takes it off, revealing a vinyl-like bodysuit with suspenders and heels, slightly like Maxine used to. She removes her veil to reveal her face, and it is none other than his former fling, Maxine. I, much like this pathetic being, have been known by many names. You may know me as Liviana. You may know me as Maxine. Hell, if you're educated and fully aware that there are other places out there other than the WWE, you might have known me as Catrina. The crowd cheers and then a Lucha, Lucha sort of chant goes round. But like I said, I have no need to lie. You can call me by my real name. My name is Karlee Perez, and this is my rebirth. Fandango, Johnny, you will not degrade women any longer. Stand up. Fandango doesn't respond. She then gets over into his ear and screams, "Stand up, you waste of space!" Fandango stands up. This over here is a real man. A man who is stacked, jacked, and packed. He is my man. The reason I returned. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Hugo Knox. Hugo Knox then charges at Fandango and it hits him with a spear. He and Karlee then stand hand in hand, pandering to the crowd. And then she turns and stands over Fandango before pouring a heavy amount of red glitter all over Fandango. SmackDown Week 6. SmackDown GM is in the ring, and he states that due to the acts of Karlee 4 weeks back, The Miz is still out of action and has not defended his championship in 30 days. Therefore, under the new ruling, the championship is now vacated. An 8-man tournament will be put in motion, with the final 2 going head-to-head at the first SmackDown exclusive pay-per-view, Backlash. I looked online at the leaked pay-per-view links, of who would have what. That was what the next one after SummerSlam was, so I'm just running off it being that, so therefore my story carries on from there. Karlee and Hugo then enter the top of the ramp. She gets the mic and she says, "I hope you're going to put my man Hugo in that tournament. After all, I was the one who single-handedly took out the champion. Not only the champion, his wife Maurice, the model of the WWE Tyler Breeze, the trashy Summer Rae, and that waste of space, lowlife, makes my blood boil dancing idiot Fandango. I have earned our shot." The GM then states that, unfortunately, Neither Karlee or Hugo are under a WWE SmackDown contract. However, that he has cleared it with Vince, and if they choose to be, they can officially be signed as talent for SmackDown. Karlee and Hugo smile and agree to sign the contracts to be entered into the tournament. That night we have the first two matches of the tournament. We have Cesaro, who beats Alberto Del Rio to go to the next round, and Neville defeats Heath Slater. SmackDown Week 7. In the first match of the night, we've got Carl Anderson, also in the tournament, who beats Kalisto. Backstage, Hugo is seen lacing up his boots as Karlee is rubbing his shoulders. She says to him, "You've got nothing to worry about, baby. You can win your debut match and go on to win the entire thing and walk out of Backlash as the new Intercontinental Champion. You're a pure man, a real-life action man. No man has a physique like yours." Hugo then stands up and starts to flex his muscles. She carries on. "And in the rare chance that it looks like you're going to lose, we've got the glitter." The pair of them then start laughing and then kiss very passionately. That night, Darren Young, accompanied by Bob Backlund, make their way to the ring. Next up, the lights go out and enters Hugo and Karlee. Hugo dominates for the majority of the match with ease. He takes down Darren Young. Bob Backlund then begins to argue with the ref, stating that Darren Young is not being treated fairly. Karlee then seductively walks around the ring and stands behind Backlund. He turns around and sees Karlee. She smiles at him, raises her hand filled with the mysterious red glitter, and then Backlund screams, "No, no, 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 no," and quickly marches out the ring and up the ramp. Young is continued to be annihilated in the ring. Knox slams down Young with a high back body drop, and then he signals to the corner. He ascends the turnbuckle and hits his moonsault finisher on Young for the victory. If you see any videos of Hugo Knox online, he does a moonsault quite often. So we've decided during this, that's going to be his finishing move. So he pins Young for the victory after the moonsault. Karlee walks up the steps and Hugo opens the ropes for her to get in. She stands by him, wraps one leg round him, strokes his body with her hand, leans back and then lets out an orgasmic-like scream. Hugo then pulls her in and kisses her. That's the end of that. SmackDown Week 8. So Cesaro defeated Carl Anderson to progress to the final of the tournament. So Cesaro will face on the winner of Neville against Hugo Knox. Renee is standing backstage with Hugo and Karlee. "Hugo, Karlee, you guys have been in quite the mission since getting here. But what the WWE Universe wants to know is what's in that red glitter, which is taking out so many talent here at SmackDown." Karlee then laughs. She goes, "Oh, Renee, sweet Renee, you do not want to know. If you want to know, I can show you." Renee shakes her head and then puts her head down. "I thought as much. What you should be asking is how we're going to celebrate after Hugo beats Neville tonight and wins the Intercontinental Championship this Sunday at Backlash. But no, you're too busy worrying about what doesn't concern you. Now run along, Renee, back to whatever fake and stale Total Divas storyline that you're acting in." So at the beginning of the match, Hugo and Neville stand face to face. Hugo towers over Neville in height and mass alone. Neville then tries to run against the ropes and attempts to hit Knox with a flying crossbody. Knox catches Neville and raises him high above his head, pressing him up and down, shouting, "I can do this all day!" Hugo then drops Neville behind him and flexes his muscles to the crowd. Neville rolls towards the apron and is greeted by Karlee, who instantly blows the red glitter in his face. Hugo picks up Neville and delivers a shattering powerbomb in the centre of the ring, picking up the win easily and advancing to the final. Once again, Karlee is let into the ring by Hugo, and then she wraps his leg around, strokes his torso, leans back, orgasmic scream, and then kisses him. So then we have now got Backlash. So this is where my story ultimately comes to an end. So the SmackDown GM is backstage looking for Hugo and Karlee. They bump into them in the locker room and says, "Hugo, Karlee, you need to play by the rules. I'm adding a stipulation into tonight's match. If you use the red glitter in the match tonight and take out another superstar for the foreseeable future, Knox will be instantly disqualified and will lose the match." Karlee looks at the GM and says, "The red glitter? So if I use the red glitter tonight, Hugo will be disqualified. If I use the red glitter." The GM looks Karlee up and down and says, "Yes, Miss Perez, the red glitter is banned from ringside." He then looks at Hugo up and down before extending their hand for a handshake and says, "Good luck tonight, big man. You've got a bright future ahead of you." Hugo smiles and looks back at Karlee, and they get ready for the match. So Cesaro and Hugo Knox are in the ring. It's the Swiss Superman versus the British Action Man. The match itself goes back and forth for a while. Cesaro gets the big swing on Knox, and Knox manages to get Cesaro in a very, very impressive armbar, almost taking the victory. During the closing stages of the match, we have Cesaro has Hugo in the corner. He runs it in with a big uppercut, 2 uppercuts, 3 big uppercuts, and then Karlee makes her way up onto the apron. Cesaro and the ref go over to her and tell her to get down. She then quickly raises her arm, opens the palm, revealing black glitter. She blows it in Cesaro's face and he stumbles back a few steps before just standing there frozen and groggy in the centre of the ring. The ref says to her, "You were told not to use that or you would get DQ'd." And she goes, No. He said not to use the red one. This wasn't red, ref." The ref goes to tell them to ring the bell, and that Hugo has been disqualified. But she grabs the ref quickly and opens her other hand and blows white glitter into the ref's face. The ref stands around looking dazed and confused. Hugo then runs full speed like a freight train straight at Cesaro, hitting him with a huge spear, taking him down. Just like he did in his match against Darren Young, he climbs the turnbuckle and hits a beautiful moonsault on Cesaro. The ref then instantly counts a 3 count for the victory. Here is your winner and the new Intercontinental Champion, Hugo Knox! Karlee then runs over to the announcers, grabbing the title from Lillian, before getting into the ring and presenting her man with the title. She ties it around his waist and then kisses him. Hugo picks up Karlee and places her on one of his shoulder, holding her in place with one hand and slapping the centre plate of the title around his waist with the other. So that's basically the end of how I would bring in Karlee Perez, aka Maxine, aka Catrina, and also bringing up Hugo Knox down from NXT onto the main roster, who I think deserves to be called up to at least the NXT main roster, or the main roster itself. He's just a wasted talent down there. He is incredible, and if he knows from my Twitter, I'm constantly tweeting him, "Love you. Big fan." So yeah, that's how I would bring in Maxine, Maxine / Catrina / Karlee Perez, and Hugo Knox up to the main roster. I hope you've enjoyed listening to this, guys. We've got a couple more coming from you, from James, Nick, and a couple of other members of the Pipe Bomb Podcast family. I hope you've enjoyed this. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share it on Twitter, do anything you can down the bottom of the link. Let me know what you think of the story. If you would agree that, the magic-y Catrina kind of character would work in WWE. I've been Sam Pele. If you want to find me online anywhere, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at sampele_, that's SAMPELE_, or on Tumblr at sampele.tumblr.com. Don't forget also to follow the Pipe Bomb Podcast on Instagram at the Pipe Bomb Podcast, and our ever so active Twitter page, which is at _real Pipe Bomb. I hope you really enjoyed listening to this. It's been a pleasure to write. I've really, really enjoyed it. And we look forward to hearing the rest of the stories and your comments as well. Thanks very much, guys. Have a great day, and I will see you soon. Bye!